Hello and welcome here to MoreTalkFCB and welcome to El Clásico. It is Real Madrid against Barcelona, and coming up here in today's video we are going to be discussing Ronald Koeman's words ahead of this mighty clash. I feel he was confident, I feel like he had good trust in his team, and in particular there was a message that right throughout he kept hammering home to his team. We're going to be talking about all of those words. It's coming right up. Let's get to it. But first up, if we just hear from our opposing coach in the dugout coming into this game, it is Zinedine Zidane. We all know about his press conference tactics. Every game is a final, especially in the big games. He expects his players to stand up to the challenge. So we're going to prepare for this game in exactly the same way that we prepared for our game against Liverpool, when of course we did very well. He said we know that we're going to face a very strong opponent in Barcelona. He said we've had a few days to recover. Now we're ready to take on a complicated and demanding game on Saturday. But in terms of Ronald Koeman, he was asked a range of questions there right throughout his press conference, and in particular there, what is the difference between playing and coaching in a Clásico? Ronald Koeman, of course, played many times against Real Madrid as a player. He said, I think there's a big difference. He said, as a player, you have so much more adrenaline running through your body. He said, you don't need any motivation. You're already at maximum intensity as a player. He said, but as a coach, he said, you're on the sidelines. He said, once the whistle goes, it's over to the players. He said, there's not a lot more that you can influence, that you can control. He said you have so much more influence as a player than you do as a coach. Koeman was then asked, indeed, coming into the Clásico, both Real Madrid and Barcelona have had very good results recently, but which team is in better form coming into this game? And Koeman said there, the Clásico is a different kind of match to anything else. So there's so many more eyes on this game. He said, yeah, we're in good form, we've been playing very well. He said, but Madrid are Madrid. He said, I think actually this season, Real Madrid have been criticised too much. He said, I think it was actually quite unfair. He said, they're a great team with great players, and tomorrow it is going to be a great match. Then it was on to the systems that could be in play tomorrow. Koeman asked there, what kind of system is he expecting from Real Madrid? They have played with a back three, they have played with a back four. He said they played with different systems. He said we're going to have to wait and see what they do. But he said our job is to make sure that whatever they do, whatever system they use, we have to be ready and focus on ourselves. He said we will deal with that. And most importantly, we have to be ready in our pressing to really go after our opponents. But in terms of the personnel coming into this game, the big news there from the Barcelona squad list is that Gerard Piqué is included for this game. But the big question is going to be, will he play and is he ready to play in this match? Ronald Koeman there, he said both Gerard Piqué and Sergio Roberto are very important players for us, not only for their quality, but also for their personality. He said, so for them to be here, it's important for us. Both players are lacking in match fitness, but they want to help the team. And Koeman was then asked, would you play with Piqué even if he's not at 100%? Would you take that risk there and play Piqué with the leadership, with the experience that he has in this game, even if he wasn't fit? But Koeman said, for me, it depends on the moment of the game. It depends there exactly how things are going. He said, but I think any player needs to be in perfect condition, not only physically, but also mentally as well. He said, tomorrow, my job will be to select the very best 11 that can obtain the best result. And speaking of the centre-back department, Koeman there was asked whether tomorrow we will see Franky Young at centre-back again, or will we see him there pushed into midfield into his more natural position. Koeman said, I think the very good thing about Franky is that he can play so well in so many different areas. He said he carries the ball out when he plays as a centre-back. He helps us there in our build-up. He said, but in midfield, he's also shown that he can cause real damage in the final third. He said, we're going to decide tomorrow, we're going to have a chat with the players, and then you will see. And also on the topic of centre-backs, crossing over to Real Madrid, they are going to be missing Rafael Varane and also their captain Sergio Ramos in this game. Koeman asked there about whether Real Madrid will really feel the impact of losing those players. He said they will miss them, for sure, but he was also quick to point out again, we have injury problems too. He said, think about Roberto. He said, think about Piqué, who've been out for a while. He said, then there's Ansu Fati, there's Coutinho. He said, but of course Real Madrid will miss these players, but they did show against Liverpool that they have players who can fill in. Koeman was then asked about Lionel Messi, who tomorrow will play his 45th Clásico, and on so many, of course, of those big occasions, Messi has been the deciding factor. Messi has been the man to really win the game for Barcelona. Will he decide it tomorrow? Ronald Koeman said, hopefully. He said, hopefully he will. He said, because we're going to need Messi at his absolute best tomorrow. But he also said, we're going to need the best of Barca, the whole team. He said, we need perfect movements. He said, we need good passing. And he said, of course, Leo is a huge part of that. I thought there was some really interesting questions there about the improvement, about the development of this Barcelona team under Ronald Koeman. He was asked there basically, since the first Clásico, what's changed for you? What have you improved? How have you ended up here today in comparison to that 3-1 defeat? But Koeman said, he said the team has certainly improved. He said, yes, we are better now. But he was quick to say, even in that first Clásico, he said, I thought we were good. He said, we were very unlucky there with the penalty in the second half. He said, we have chances that we missed. He said, throughout the season, we have had our opportunities. He said, but it's been our efficiency in front of goal that has now improved. He said, we changed the system. That's also helped us defensively, and that has helped us get to where we are today. And speaking of that change, Ronald Koeman once again was important to stress how he needed time at the club to really bring the best of his philosophy and his plan as the coach of Barcelona. He said every new coach needs time to put his thoughts into action, and also they to have patience within the club to give them that stability. He said we've lost matches this season that we shouldn't have. He said the confidence in the team, it is much higher now, but the most important thing is that we've had more time together. But he still said we have young players. We still have very, very young players, and they will still need more time. And indeed, speaking of those young players, there was a good question there brought to Ronald Koeman about the fact that tomorrow Real Madrid, they will have experienced players. They'll be relying on the likes of Benzema, Toni Kroos, Casemiro, Luka Modric, all of these players who've really racked up the Clásico appearances. Are Barcelona going to suffer because of that youth? But Koeman said the most important thing, yes, in a Clásico, he said, is to have experience. He said you need players who understand this fixture, but he did say the young players that we have, they need to play to gain that experience, to gain experience for the future. He said if I don't play them now, they won't learn. They will never learn. He said the young players also need help from those around them, from the experienced ones in this kind of game. But finally though, guys, the message I feel that Koeman, right the way through this press conference, and indeed many of the things that he was asked, he often replied there about 3 or 4 times. He said we have to be ourselves. Coming into this game, we can't suddenly forget what we've been doing. He said my message to the team is this. He said let's not go crazy, because this is a Clásico against Madrid. Let's be ourselves. He said we need to impose our style of play, and not just because our opponent is Real Madrid, but do what we do every game. I think Koeman here was very, very keen to stress, don't play the occasion, play the game. We need to stick with what we've been doing, the improvements that we've shown. We can't get overawed here because of this kind of game, this kind of pressure. We have to stand up. We have to be ready and arrive showing our very, very best level. So those right there, guys, were the words of Ronald Koeman ahead of Saturday's Clásico in Madrid. Please do let me know your thoughts in the comments down below on what Koeman had to say and how you're feeling ahead of this clash. And of course, later on today, it's the big one. I'm going to be talking about everything we can expect from this Clásico, and that's going to be coming over on TalkFCB. I will see you then. Thank you indeed for all of your support and your optimism, because we can do this. But until next time, as always, Visca El Barça.